I'm not even gonna lie to you, I literally just made tea because, oh boy, are we about to spill some. Hi everyone, my name is Sierra Zwicker and welcome to this installment of why I almost had a mental breakdown while self-publishing. So I'm assuming that you clicked on this video either because you're seeing the word self-publishing or the word KDP in the title. So yes, I published under the name CD Zwick. This is my book right here. It's called Solis. It's a very big, thick boy, and there is a reason for that, which we are going to talk about. It is self-published through Amazon, KDP, and oh boy, was it a journey. I will be talking about kind of the process with this, how this came to be, the kind of do's and don'ts that I learned through my first time self-publishing and using KDP to self-publish. There will be a link in the description if you want to buy it, if you're interested. Help a struggling writer out, because this is my first book and it's very hard when you don't have a following or you don't already have a popular book out there or whatever to get people to buy your book. Like, it's not easy. But anyway, Solis by CD Zwick is available on Amazon. Alright, so first off, I just want to kind of give a general background on everything that I did leading up to using KDP. Everyone's experience is going to kind of be different when it comes to publishing, self-publishing, writing a book in general. Like, everyone does things differently, and that's fine, but I'm just going to tell you what I did. So maybe if you're considering doing something a certain way and hearing a second opinion is gonna help you make up your mind. I don't know, but this is all I can really do at this point. Fast forward to September 2015. I was 16 years old. I was a junior in high school. I started writing my book at 16, and just so you know, I'm 20 years old now, and yes, that means that it took me 4 years to finish writing my book. But life happens, you're in high school, and then you're in college for a year, and then you realize that you hate college, and that you're depressed all the time, and that you have no time to do the things that you actually want to do, so you drop out of college, you finish the things that you wanted to do, and then you start to panic because you realize, oh my god, is this going to be able to be turned into a viable career for me? Haha, I love life. I've been writing ever since I could write. I've been making up stories, making up characters and worlds, and I've had a lot of ideas come and go over the years, but none of them had ever stuck until Solis came along. You don't always know what idea is gonna actually be the idea, like the idea of all ideas that you're actually gonna see through to completion and put out into the world. So basically, long story short, I just started kind of writing up the bullet point, plot point, whatever you want to call it, map for my story, and I knew how I wanted to start, I knew how I wanted it to end. I had a couple characters, and I just kind of go from there. About a year later, I finished the first draft of the plot points. This isn't even writing it at this point, it was just bullet points still. Very, very detailed bullet points, mind you, but bullet points nonetheless. So then, I think when I was about 18 is when, or maybe a little bit before that, but anyway, I was about 18 when I started actually writing, like, the story in actual, like, book form or whatever you want to call it, where it's not just bullet points, it's, paragraphs and whatever, all that good stuff. I finished it around, I think I finished it around, maybe around March of 2019. And from there, I had 3 people who I was familiar with that I was like, hey, would you be willing to edit this book that I wrote for me? I know that you guys like to read, and I have confidence in you as people who have editing knowledge, or at least reading something and being able to pick up on this doesn't really sound right, or maybe this would be better somewhere else, or even just, hey, you spelled that word wrong. Like, I needed that, because that is one thing about when you do all this stuff by yourself and you're constantly reading it over and over and over again, you don't pick up on those things as much because you already know what's coming next in your head. Your concentration, I guess, kind of takes a back seat in your head because you're familiar with the story, but when someone with fresh eyes who's never seen it before reads it, they're more likely to pick up on the things that you kind of overlooked. So I finished writing the final draft or whatever before I give it to my editors, and it is 700 pages. 700 pages on 8.5 by 11 standard whatever Microsoft Word document thing. 700 pages, yeah. So now I think it's important to mention that knowing what I know now, my planning was about close to 300 pages on a standard Microsoft Word document. So if roughly 300 pages translates to about 700 pages, let's just say that I know now, you know, kind of when to not necessarily stop myself, because I don't believe in, oh well, I don't want my story to exceed a certain amount of pages or people won't read it, or if it's too long people won't read it. Like, I don't think that's true. Like, I don't believe in that. You are writing a book. Your audience is people who like to read, most likely, you know what I mean? And people who like to read, I don't really think that the page number matters for a lot of us, because if it's a good story and we're really interested in it, then we probably want more. You know, I think if I was reading a book that I was really, really into and it stopped at 400 pages and I felt like certain things maybe were rushed or certain things could have been explored more, and they could have done that with maybe like 200 more pages, then I would say do it in 200 more pages, you know what I mean? It's like, it's better to have the story and the pacing and whatever be more satisfying, spread out a little bit longer, than to like shove it all in a tiny little condensed package and go, oh well, it's only 400 pages so it's a quick read, whatever. But like, maybe your story isn't meant to be a quick read. I don't think that my story definitely isn't meant to be a quick read. I mean, look at this thing. Look at this thing. It's not 700 pages, I'll tell you that right now. I think it came out around 600 after I formatted it, and one of the good things is on KDP, you can update your manuscripts. If you find a mistake, you can just update it and re-upload it and send it back out. But we'll get to that. So anyway, I finished everything and I'm ready to put it all on KDP or upload it to wherever I was gonna choose. But first, I just want to talk about, you know, I did look around at other options and I did kind of compare and contrast. I read a whole bunch of articles on like the different self-publishing services. Now, I can't really speak to like sending your manuscript or whatever out to actual publishing companies, because I didn't do that. I wanted full control over my story and the way it was gonna look and, you know, the cover and all this stuff. I was, however, contacted by a publishing company very shortly after I got my book copywritten, which was like weird, because I was like, how the heck did you find my story when it's literally available like nowhere? And apparently they are like connected or whatever with the US Copyright Office, and the lady on the phone said something like, oh, we pull interesting titles, something something. I don't know if I'm technically allowed to say this, but I can't really come up with a reason why I'm not allowed to say this. The publishing company was called Dorrance. And at first, you know, I get this call from this publishing company, they leave me a message, I'm like, oh my god, like I was so excited. I was like, oh my god, like a publishing company is like interested in my story. But after doing some research, which please God, do your research, because I found out through looking up this Dorrance publishing thing that they were actually like kind of really shady, which is like so disappointing, because it's like you get so excited because you're like, oh my god, a publishing company wants my book. That's like right off the bat when you literally haven't even like sent it to anyone or put it out there in any capacity. And then you come to find that like they scam people out of their money and all this other stuff that like wasn't good, and they were gonna ask for like all of this money from me, which I don't have. Please buy my book. I have no other source of income. Just do your research if you're contacted by anyone, and like make sure that they're legit and that like they are gonna work with you the way that you want to be worked with. But back to the self-publishing thing, I looked into a couple different ones. Like one of them was like Ingram Sparks or something, and the other one that I like thought I was gonna use before I chose KDP was called Lulu. But the thing that made me not want to go with Lulu was that once I put in like, okay, my book is this amount of pages, and at the time I still thought it was 700. I didn't, you know, do all the formatting stuff yet, but I realized that the cost to like print my 700 page book was gonna just be like way too high for me to really make any money off of, which is ironic when we get further into the video, you'll see. Because yeah, it was like something around like $17 or $18 to manufacture or whatever, like a book of that size. which would mean I would have to sell it for like at least like $20 or more, and I didn't really want to do that. Like my book is $18, but then I went, okay, that's clearly not going to work. So then I looked into this thing I'd heard of called Amazon Create Space, which is now KDP. It was formerly Amazon Create Space. And I just started looking into that, and the more articles that I read, it seemed like that was gonna be like the best option because they print on demand, meaning you're not gonna get stuck with like 1,000 copies that you have to figure out how to sell and figure out how to store and all this other stuff. So that was appealing right off the bat because I don't have anywhere to put it, and I don't really know / I'm still trying to figure out how to like sell books more widely than just hoping people find it on Amazon, I guess. And another thing, which was turning out not to be true, as I will cover in greater detail later on in the video, was that in the articles that I read, and this could have been me misreading something or perhaps something in the article being, you know, like the information was wrong, but I was under the impression through the articles that I read that if you use Amazon KDP, you do not pay for the cost of printing. I knew that Amazon took, I think it was like a 40-60% cut, so like I get 60% and they get 40, I think that's how it works. So I was like, okay, like that's totally fine, because if I sell my book for $15 or whatever I thought I was gonna sell it for at first, and they take, you know, less than half of that, like that's still pretty good, because, you know, I know that writers don't really make a whole lot. So yeah, I'm super excited about using KDP at this point, and you know, I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be so good for me, and it's gonna go so smoothly and easily. And well, spoiler alert, it did not go smoothly or easily at all. Okay, so now I'd like to take a minute to talk about kind of some of my misconceptions and like important things to consider when using KDP, because this is stuff that I wish that someone would have told me before going into it. We talked about the pricing, about how, you know, they take a 40% cut, and I thought that you didn't have to pay for the cost of printing, but you do have to pay for the cost of printing. And I mean, I guess in comparison with, like, say, what I was seeing for like Lulu, it is better, but still like not great. Like, I won't lie, I make about $2.50 per each book that I sell after they take out the cost of printing, and then on top of that take their 40%. So yeah, I think it was about $8 or $9 for cost of printing, and then again taking out their like 40% whatever. So page limit. There is a page limit for paperback books. I believe it's somewhere around like 824 pages or something like that, which, you know, upon seeing that before I formatted, I went, oh, that's totally fine, my book's 700, you know, whatever. I also didn't realize that like it wasn't as easy as, oh, I'm just gonna upload this into your system and then you're gonna format it for me. Like, no, like you have to format it. They do have some type of like thing on their website or whatever that you can like use to like, I don't know, I didn't do it because I wrote it, like it was already written on Microsoft Word, but maybe that is like more formatted for you, I don't really know. Standard book size is about like 6 by 9, and I wanted my book to be standard book size. I wanted it to look like most of the other books sitting alongside the shelves, you know, but that wasn't the case. This is a 7 by 10, which at first, you know, I was kind of drawing out the dimensions when I realized that a 6 by 9 wouldn't work. And I was like, oh my god, it's gonna be like huge and it's gonna look like a textbook. But no, like honestly, it's really not that bad. Like, I mean, maybe I've just had more time to kind of like sit with it and accept it, but it's really not that bad. And honestly, you know what? This is not meant to be a tiny little 6 by 9 book, okay? This is a big story and it needs a big book to tell it. I changed the Word document size, which I never done before. I didn't even know you could do that. And 700 pages on an 8.5 by 11 Word document roughly translates, when you move it down to a 6 by 9 Word document, to about 1,400 pages. Yeah, so that was a problem. I'm on the phone with like someone from KDP, and we're gonna talk about customer service in a little bit, because oh boy, that is some tea right there. That's some tea. And I'm like, oh my god, my book is like 1,400 pages and I don't know what to do. Like, please help. How can I fix this? But yeah, and the guy's like, well, you could just split it into 2 books. And I'm like, I can't though. Like that, like no, like that's not an option. Like I can't split it into 2 books. Like no, this is one continuous story, you know. But it's like that's not their fault. Like they don't know that. They're just trying to. This guy at least. The first guy I got he was like, okay, you're having a panic attack, just try to calm down, I'm gonna help you. And I was like, okay, like I'm about to cry, but okay. And I ended up making it 7 by 10. That got it down to about 600 pages where it ended up sitting. My final font size did end up being 10, which I think is like, even if it was 6 by 9, I think 10 is like a good size. Just cause it's hard when you're looking at it on like your computer screen on a Microsoft Word document, and then to like see that in person, it's like, it's kind of harder to like picture it or whatever. That was really the first of many panic attacks to come in the next week or so. And also, this is another thing I'm kind of like not super sure on, because my book is 7 by 10 and not 6 by 9, even though like it has its own ISBN or whatever. Like KDP can give you an ISBN if you don't already have one. There was something that said like, oh, because this is not 6 by 9, you may not be eligible for like bookstores to purchase it or whatever, which is like, first of all, why would I not be eligible for bookstore? Like, that doesn't really make any sense. It's not like every single book in the world is 6 by 9. But again, that's kind of like stuff that I don't fully understand. Like a lot of the things on the business side I don't fully understand, and I'm just kind of hoping for the best. And yeah, so like I said, it's print on demand, which is both a good and a bad thing, because when I ordered my author copy, which is an option that you have to do, like let's say before it goes live, right, you want a copy sent to your house to like make sure that like everything looks the way it's supposed to look. And also I had maps in the beginning. Like I drew maps of like the country and like the main city that they're in, because it's a made up place that I thought, oh, this will help the reader visualize it better. And I wanted to make sure that it didn't get cut off. The maps were cut off, even though like I thought that I did it correctly, because there's a thing on there called like bleed or something, which is supposed to extend an image or whatever to like the end of the page or whatever. And I thought I did that, didn't work. Even when I tried to go in and do it, like it still didn't work. So in the final version, like there is like a small gap in between, but I'm like, I'm so tired of it at this point. I'm like, there's a small gap, whatever, you know, I don't care. It's not that big of a deal, you know. You can still see the maps, they're still in there, who cares. Okay, so KDP's customer support, and honestly, just in general, Amazon's customer support, it's not what I would call good, which I think most people can agree with on some level. If you've ever called Amazon customer support, it's kind of like, okay, that didn't really help me at all. But like I said, the first guy that I talked with was helpful in terms of caring about my problem, and actually I felt like he was actually trying to help me. I felt like he was trying to be like, okay, here are your options, I'm answering your questions to the best of my ability, and I'm being, you know, friendly and easy to communicate with, whatever. First guy does not count in this whole scenario. Second guy that I ended up getting on the phone with a little later in the same night when I called back, because I don't even remember what issue I was having, I think something about margins. I call, and at first, like, I don't hear anything, and I'm like, hello, hello. Like, I just hear like the best way I can describe it is almost like someone had their cell phone sitting in like their living room and they were in the other room doing something. Like I could kind of hear like shuffling around and like faint voices, and then like this guy picks up and he's like, hello. Like he's like he just doesn't sound very good. And I'm like, is this Amazon KDP? Like I really was like, did I just call some random drunk guy or something? Like what? And he was like, I need your email and your confirmation, something or other. And I'm just like I felt weird about it, and I didn't give him my stuff because the first guy never asked. It's weird because some of them will ask for like, what's your account number, what's your email, all this other stuff. Like they will ask for that, and then some of them won't ask for any of your information at all. So I don't know. But I was just like, the last guy didn't ask for that, and like I was just feeling really weird about it. And I think I just ended up hanging up because I was like, this is just weird and I don't feel good about it, and I doubt this guy can help me anyway, because like he really sounded drunk. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, this guy really sounded drunk to me. So I order my proof copy, and it's gonna get here a week before I was planning on having it actually go live, which was October 17th. So I'm like, okay, that's great. You know, I get it here a week before, I can look it over. That leaves me like a nice slot of time. If anything does go wrong or I need to fix anything, it's no like crazy mad dash rush to try and get it done. So the day comes when it's supposed to get here, and it says it's all supposed to be on time. I keep checking the tracking to make sure it's gonna get here on time. And it's about noon on the day that it's supposed to arrive. And guess what? I get an email saying it's not coming until the day before I'm supposed to publish. Yeah, I love it. I was in shock. I was in shock. I was like, it's gonna get here a day before I'm supposed to. Even now I struggle to find the words to say how I was feeling. I was so mad and so frustrated, and I was just like, still have not celebrated, still super stressed, not having a good time. I'm like, oh my god, I feel like this whole past month and a half has taken years off my life with the stress that I've endured. I get back on with Amazon KDP customer support. And I just want to say, I have never in my entire 20 years of life gotten mad ever at like someone in like a customer support or a service industry type of job, ever. Because like I've had those jobs before and I know how much it sucks, so I purposefully go out of my way to be like very patient and like calm and friendly to people who have those types of jobs, because like I know how it is, okay? That having been said, I sort of lost it. I wasn't like screaming at the girl over the phone, but I was like very clearly fed up, and I was very like stern and short with her, and I was very like, no, like you need to do this for me, like this is unacceptable. Like, I'm not that kind of person, okay? I'm really not, I promise you I'm not. So yeah, I'm like losing my mind over the fact that I was told that it was gonna get here on this specific day, and then it didn't, and then they're telling me it's gonna be like a whole other week, which is like right before I'm about to publish. And then I come to find that the girl that I'm talking to on the phone, who I can tell is like very much over me at this point too, like rightfully so, I get it, that she doesn't even know what I'm talking about, that she doesn't even know about KDP. I'm on the phone at least 45 minutes. I'm on the phone for at least 45 minutes, and then she says something to me, and it just registers to me like, you have no idea what I'm talking about, do you? And then she's like, no, like I literally have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm just like, ooh, deep breaths, deep breaths, deep breaths. Ah! I'm losing my mind again right now. Like, you can see it. You can see the crazy in my eyes. I get off the phone with her, and I call another person, and I'm on the phone for another very long period of time with someone who cannot help me with my problem. And I'm told that their printer is broken. I'm sorry, you're in charge of printing books? Like possibly anywhere from hundreds to thousands of people's books, and your printer is broken? And I'm like, when will it be fixed? And he says he doesn't know. And I don't even remember what I said, or if I handed the phone over to someone else, because I was literally like, if someone does not take this phone from me, I'm gonna say some things that I don't want to say. And somehow we get connected to this lady who is like some type of like higher up, and I'm like, okay, great, this is gonna work. She's gonna help me like get it like overnighted to my house as soon as their thing is back up and running. And then, wouldn't you know, the phone call gets disconnected. The phone call got disconnected. The phone call got disconnected. The phone call got disconnected. So, I call back, and I'm right at square one. I am just, this guy picks up, somehow, luckily, this last guy that I get on the phone with is helpful, and he's like, okay, our thing is broken, yes, but hopefully it will be fixed soon. As soon as it is fixed, I will have your thing put in. I will have it put through with like primer, whatever, to have it sent to your house in 2 days, and we will give you a full refund, whatever. And I'm like, bless you, sir. Like, bless you, because oh my god. Oh my god. So, it seems like all is well, right? For now, at least. It gets here, 2 days later, a crisis is seemingly averted, kind of, sort of, whatever. The point is, it didn't get here a day before I was supposed to publish, so I was like, whatever, I'll take what I can get, you know? And it's like, now that I'm kind of talking about all this again, it really makes me think, like, does KDP or like any of these services just like beat you down over and over and over again until you're just so broken that you will just like give up and just nothing else will matter, and you won't care that they're like basically taking all your money, and you won't care that their customer support basically isn't gonna help you? And it's like, is that what they do? Do they just like torture you until you just like give in? Just to recap all of the things that I've talked about in this video, because I get that this maybe is not the best structured version that you could be watching for the information that you're hoping to obtain from this type of video. First off, KDP, self-publishing, you have total control over the contents that you're putting out. It's print on demand. It's a 40-60% cut, as well as factoring in that you're not paying for the actual like printing cost, but it's coming out of what you would be making. So I guess in a way you are kind of paying for it, just not like out of pocket. There is a page limit, so if your book is very, very long, I would say make sure that it is formatted correctly, and if you're maybe just starting writing a book right now, format it from the get-go, because you will have a much better idea of what it's going to kind of look like in the long run. Amazon customer support, not very good. It's kind of, it seems like, you know, out of the 7 people that I talked to, I got 2 good ones, so do with that information what you will. So, what I learned out of this whole nightmare, some could call it, was that the good thing is going forward and knowing that the next time that I do publish a book, because honestly when it comes down to it, even with all the bad stuff that happened, I would use KDP again, just because A, now I'm familiar with it, I know what to expect, and B, I think for what I'm trying to do, it's the best option. I will definitely allot myself more time for certain things. There are always going to be setbacks, and unfortunately I feel like it's a thing where if something can go wrong, it most likely will, and it's just better to be prepared for that than to not be prepared for that. This is going to be the first book in a series of 4 books that I have planned, and I already know what I want to do with them. I've already started writing the second book, so yeah, I definitely would use KDP again, just because I know what to expect now, and the quality is actually pretty good. You know, it looks like a book, and I'm still kind of going through and updating and fixing like stupid little spelling errors or whatever that I find as I'm rereading through it, but the story itself is complete. I've closed the book on that part of it, but I do like that it's like, oh, I found a mistake, or someone that's reading it found a mistake, I can go in and I can fix it. Books have mistakes in them, and especially like for the fact that I did all this pretty much like by myself, I'm like, I really should be more proud of myself than I've given myself credit for. And the idea of perfection is what leads you to madness, and I'm a perfectionist, so like that's really hard to like accept and to go, it's not gonna be 100% perfect. But honestly, like if I can get it to be 99% perfect, or even 90% perfect, like that's still a passing score, honestly. So yeah, that's my overall experience with KDP. Please, please, please do check out my book if you're interested. There will be the summary / synopsis thing in the description below, as well as a link to the book if you want to buy it. But yeah, and if you do end up buying it and reading it, please let me know what you think. And if you have any other questions about like publishing with KDP or self-publishing or anything like that, feel free to contact me on my Instagram or Twitter, and I'd be willing to help any of you guys out, because I know how hard it is when you're like on your own pretty much and you don't really know who to ask, because if you're like me, you don't know any other writers or anyone who's published a book. So yeah, Solis by C.D. Zwick is available on Amazon in paperback. Oh, and one more thing that I should mention. I am working on a Kindle option because on KDP there is both Kindle and paperback options. That process is, again, not going to be easy because nothing can be easy with KDP apparently. But I'm hoping to have that available sometime in early 2020. It's a whole other process, and I'm really trying to just focus on like finishing, going through, and like double checking for any of these like stupid mistakes that I find scattered throughout, because once the Kindle version is up, I have a feeling it's going to be a lot harder to like go back in and fix and change things. But that's something I didn't really talk about because I haven't done it yet, but that is an option, and I think definitely 100% have your book available as a Kindle option, because then that cuts out the cost of printing and you're making more money. And if you're like me and like you have a big, you know, 7x10 600-page book, some people who maybe don't want to carry it around, or you know, like their Kindle more over an actual like physical copy, are gonna want that Kindle version. But yeah, that's really all I have to say. I'm exhausted after rehashing all that, but hopefully it helps someone. And yeah, like I said, feel free to contact me and check out my book if you're interested. Alright guys, I'll see you at some point, I guess. Bye.